Assalamualaikum and good day. I bid to Dr. KHADIJAH and my fellow classmates. For this week's presentation, my team, which consists of me, myself, Ameylina binti Rahman, NADZIRA binti AHMAD NADZRI, and Nur AFIFAH binti Muhammad ALWI, will explore about academic dishonesty, which is within the realm of academic issues. Academic dishonesty is controllable when we're having physical classes because educators have the upper hand in handling this issue, which makes it less problematic as opposed to now. For example, examinations done in halls are supervised by enough teachers to prevent academic dishonesty from happening. However, things are different now because when the pandemic hits, education has to shift its teaching and learning virtually. Having virtual teaching and learning makes academic dishonesty trending in a way that it becomes a serious matter or issue that needs proper handling virtually. For instance, online examinations incite students to be academically dishonest as they can search for answers online, and this is where academic dishonesty comes into play. Students having less academic integrity. It's the in thing now. The severity of academic dishonesty is apparent, so let's delve deeper into this issue, and maybe this will be a wake-up call for us and others to improve and heighten our academic integrity. Alright, before we start digging deeper into the issue, let's take a look at the subtopics of academic dishonesty, AD for short. So we'll start with the definition of AD, followed by the various types or forms of AD, and this will be shared by NADZIRA. And then we have statistics of AD, where we will see the percentages of students along with their thoughts about AD, and this will be shared by Nur AFIFAH. Next will be the reasons as to why AD happens. And we also have discouraging AD, where we will share about why we need to eliminate AD, its effects in two categories, which are short-term and long-term, and how we can avoid academic dishonesty from happening. Once we've looked at the hows, we will go on to share as to why AD still exists, the issues surrounding it, the roles of administrators, and pledges with regard to AD. Last but not least, we will see the views of AD both globally and locally. We will then finish off with a list of references and a short closure to end the presentation. So, without further ado, I'll pass the mic to our next presenter, Ain.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is NADZRA and I'll explain about the definition of academic dishonesty. To understand what is considered academic dishonesty, let's look at what academic integrity is first. Exemplary Academic Integrity Project EAIP 2013 mentioned that when we enroll into any level of our education, we are expected to act with the values of honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility in learning, teaching, and research. So breaching academic integrity or any of these values is considered academic misconduct or academic dishonesty. So, as explained by Bleeker 2008, academic dishonesty is cheating or plagiarism that gives a student an illegitimate advantage during an assignment or assessment. The definition might seem a little too simple, right? This is because the specific definition of academic dishonesty differs according to courses, institution, and country. Let's look at the definition and the forms of academic dishonesty that have been regulated by UiTM as seen in the latest Pledge of Academic Integrity that we all have signed. It's not anything new to all of my friends watching this, so we will not present these points in detail. So the first one is cheating. Cheating obviously violates the 5 values that have been mentioned before, which is honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility. Remember, respect is not only to people in your education circle but also to the concept of adab dengan ilmu, like our friends in the first presentation have mentioned. Next, we have plagiarism. It's a well-known topic among students. So according to this, not only leaving out citations of the source in your works is considered plagiarism, but also using or purchasing materials prepared by other people is also plagiarism. Next is fabrication and deception, basically providing false information and trying to deceive instructors. Lastly, furnishing false information. Okay, now, is academic dishonesty a worry to us? Let's listen to proofs and statistics provided by AFIFAH.
So there are actually many types of academic dishonesty, right? Now that you guys are clear about what is academic dishonesty, the definition, and the forms of academic dishonesty, let's now take a look at the statistics of academic dishonesty that were collected from Pew Research. According to Dick et al. In his research in 2003, 75% of college students reported cheating during their enrollment. 95% of students who reported cheating said that they were never caught, data by Bushweller 1999. 50% did not believe that cheating was necessarily wrong, founded by Naylor and Lord 1999, and cheating increases with the age of the students up to 25. Statement by CZ 1999. In my personal thought, I was quite surprised when I saw these statistics for the first time. The percentage of the students normalizing cheating in their studies is quite high. This situation is serious even way before pandemic hits, which the study was carried out in 1999 and 2003. Now, with the pandemic situation, mostly classes and exams were conducted online. Imagine how the percentage increase if we conduct another research on student cheating in their exams. With online distance learning, with no assist from teacher, with tons of apps that supports the act of academic dishonesty, although they said that the apps that they created, like Mathematics Solver, are helping students to finish their homework, the apps are also somehow actually promotes and cultivate students to commit academic dishonesty. Because students will rely on the apps to solve and finish their homework instead of putting efforts to think and solve the homework all by themselves. Alright, I have covered the statistics of academic dishonesty, but I wonder, why do students actually commit academic dishonesty, yeah? Ain, can you explain to us?
Okay, now the real question is, why do students commit academic dishonesty? The simple answer is because it is beneficial to us. But let's try to understand deeper by looking at these two categories. Multiple studies tried to develop a profile of students that are prone to cheat, but it was found that personal characteristics provide little promise for the identification of those that commit the acts of academic dishonesty. For example, one study by Kervlet and Sigmund found that gender is not significant, whereas another study by Mishkari and Lawrence reported that women are less tolerant of unethical practices. But another study found that women are less likely to admit to cheating. Academic major certainly doesn't signify the probability of cheating, as it was mentioned in Marshall and Varnon 2017 that cheating was found occurring in many university courses. In the same study by Kervlet and Sigmund, they found out that the average hour a week studying was not significantly correlated to cheating. So, it is proven that students' characteristic is not reliable to identify the perpetrator of academic dishonesty. It's not about the person, but it's the situation they are in. Let's see what I mean by that by looking at the fraud triangle. This model is introduced by Marshall and Varnon 2017 and is derived from Becker et al. 2006. It consists of three elements, which are pressure, then opportunity, and lastly rationalization. Let's look at it in detail. For academic dishonesty to happen, first, pressure needs to exist. As explained by Becker et al., this pressure might come from the desire to obtain a specific grade within the time frame available for earning that grade, and they think that it will be hard for them to get the targeted grade. After the pressure appears, the perpetrator identifies an opportunity to commit the dishonest act without getting caught. This opportunity might arise from a lack of supervision during exams, or other students providing answers to exam questions, and faculty's lack of action to deter academic dishonesty. Finally, the perpetrator must be able to rationalize or make the action acceptable to oneself. For example, if the professor doesn't explain about cheating, so this must be acceptable. Or they would think the penalties for academic dishonesty at our university are not severe. Let's apply or analyze this scene from bad genius using the fraud triangle. I'll only explain about Grace, and after this I hope you guys can reflect and think about why Lynn committed academic dishonesty. So for Grace, first is pressure. She is pressured to have a 3.25 CGPA to stay in the school play, and she's having problems understanding mathematics, thus it pulls her grade down. So during the test, she saw the opportunity to cheat when Lynn offered her the eraser that has the answers written down on it. And plus, the teacher doesn't remind the students to not cheat and tell them the penalties if they are caught, and he was seen dozing off during the exam. So at this point, she can refuse Lynn's help. But remember, she is pressured, and she could rationalize it as she is close with Lynn and help Lynn during the IT for today. So she thinks Lynn must have wanted to repay the kindness. So with that rationalization of the situation, we can see that the three elements in the triangle have been identified. And Grace is aware of what she's doing. So now she has to be responsible and face the consequences of her own action.
Thank you, Ain. Alright, let's proceed with discouraging AD. So I'll first talk about the elimination of academic dishonesty, and then Nur Afifah will talk about the other two. Why do we need to get rid of academic dishonesty, and why the opposite of it, academic integrity, is crucial in our lives? We have to eliminate AD for several reasons, to which we have to be aware of to ensure higher academic integrity. Eliminating AD means having higher academic integrity, and that means others can trust you. Trustworthiness. The people with whom you deal with will know that they can rely on you because of your honest act and that you walk the talk. When people know and see that you believe in doing the right thing, that your behavior is consistent with that belief, they will trust you. You are worth the trust that they will give. Besides that, trustworthiness is one of the key characteristics of a successful leader, where these individuals develop their good reputations by being honest, fair, and trustworthy, for instance. We have to be aware of this because individuals who are successful in their respective fields are those who understand the benefits of acting with integrity. Our world is based on our ability to trust each other, which is why developing good ethical habits now will help us when we enter the workplace and face ethical issues, which most certainly will happen. So, eliminating AD and having higher academic integrity will lead to us getting the value of trustworthiness. The second reason as to why we need to eliminate AD and be ethical by having academic integrity is it provides value to our degree. Employers prefer to hire graduates whom they believe to have high personal integrity. They would rather invest in developing the human capital of someone who will be a positive influence on the organizations and on someone whom they can trust their missions to. Yes, it is known that people can lie through their integrity, be two-faced individuals. But how long do you think it will last? So, eliminate dishonesty and heighten integrity. Finally, eliminating AD and having higher academic integrity can offer us peace of mind, knowing that we believe in doing the right thing. The fact that we always try to act consistently with the rightful beliefs will hinder us from the sense of guilt. Bearing the sense of guilt for a lifetime is so unpleasant. Acting with integrity can reduce unnecessary stress in our lives, make us happier, healthier, and more productive. Therefore, in order for us to have a peaceful mind, we have to try our best to eliminate academic dishonesty and strive to increase our academic integrity. All in all, we have to eliminate academic dishonesty because if we don't, it will negatively affect us and also how others view us once it all comes to light. Okay, now that we've touched lightly on the effects of AD, I'll pass the mic to AFIFAH to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Alright, let's now discuss about the effects of academic dishonesty. The effects of committing academic dishonesty can be divided into two kinds, which are long-term effect and short-term effect. Let's first take a look at the short-term effect of academic dishonesty. For short-term effects of committing academic dishonesty, the first one is inaccurate assessments. The actual purpose of assessment is to gather relevant information about students' performance or progress in their learning. So, if the students cheats in their exam, the purpose of the assessment cannot be fulfilled because they did not use their knowledge in completing their tasks. Another short-term effect of academic dishonesty is having performance anxiety. Having anxiety about academic performance can cause some students to cheat in academic activities. Students may cheat to avoid failing a course or receiving a bad grade. Some students may use cheating as a way to cope with their poor test-taking skills. Some students might also cheat in their exam to fulfill the expectation of their parents. Next, if the students commit academic dishonesty, the students did not gain any knowledge from the subject. It is considered as a loss to the students as they enter to class, listen to lecture, but they did not try to apply their knowledge on the academic activities to see whether they really understand the lesson or not. Moving on to long-term effects of academic dishonesty, the first one is academic dishonesty will lead to corruption in work. According to NADZRI 2013, he provides evidence that academic cheating by business and economic students correlates with students' respective countries' level of corruption. Other than that, students committing academic dishonesty has caused concerns in practical field. Let's say if a students that committed academic dishonesty in their exam were granted credentials or certificate confirming that they have successfully completed a course or a program of study when they actually have not, it can have serious consequences in the workplace. For example, if someone obtained the credentials to practice in medicine, in engineering, or law through habitual academic dishonesty, public safety and welfare could be in danger. Alright, the last point of long-term effects of academic dishonesty is social consequences. According to CZEC 2003, he discussed the moral consequences of academic dishonesty, which one of it is cheating. The habitual nature of cheating indicates that those who cheat in academic activities, they think they can get away with it and they may continue to cheat at work, in family life, and in other aspects of life. In the long run, This attitude can be harmful not only to the cheater, but to everyone else affected by his or her actions. Alright, now that you have listened to how committing academic dishonesty can affect us in short term and long term, I believe some of you might now take this issue seriously and wonder, what should we do to avoid academic dishonesty? Now, I will present on how to avoid academic dishonesty using this diagram named Academic Dishonesty Attack. This diagram is actually a proposed framework that offers a four-pronged attack on academic dishonesty that includes prevention, detection, investigation, and follow-up, as you can see in the slide. The first attack on academic dishonesty is prevention. In school, prevention efforts predominantly appear in the form of removing opportunities, mainly by implementing controls. For example, security over exams, calculated questions, different version of the same exam, a seat between students, teacher walking around the room while students taking exam, etc. That was the physical prevention. In this framework, it is strongly believed that prevention also starts with internal prevention, which the first one is to tone at the top. What is tone at the top? Tone at the top refers to appropriate modeling of actions and behaviors by those in administrative power. Appropriate modeling by those at the top of the organization provides examples to the other individuals in the organization. The next one is honor codes. Honor codes are actually the same with the integrity pledge that we are required to sign for every subject. Have you signed the pledge? If you haven't, don't forget to do so. Okay, get back to the point. The integrity pledge were created so that students kind of have awareness or they are being informed early that cheating is wrong. Plus, the students are also clear about the enforcement if they commit academic dishonesty. Hence, the academic dishonesty can be prevented. Next, detection. Detection here simply means the identification of suspicious activity, red flags, report by others, and etc. It is then followed by professional skepticism, which it suggests that educators pursue cases which appear out of the ordinary. For example, a student that earns a D 2 times in the same course when completed it in face-to-face environment, but makes an A when enrolled in the same course in the online environment would certainly appear to be out of the ordinary and worth pursuing. While for risk assessment, it involves evaluating the environment in which the dishonest act occurred. From an academic perspective, the environments include inside the physical classroom, student study places, and online course delivery. According to Chen et al. 2014, the literature indicates that students are less likely to cheat when they believe they are being watched. After red flags or suspicious activity being detected, the red flags should then be carefully investigated with professional skepticism and objectivity. Faculty should avoid jumping to the conclusion that cheating occurred without properly investigating the red flag. For example, an investigation of 2 students submitting work with similar points considered as red flags, but it may also indicate that they discussed the assignment together. And after that, if the students were proved wrong and they really committed academic dishonesty, faculty should present evidence objectively and with openness to questions from institution personnel. The reporting should then be fair and objective so that other students can take it as a lesson and also for educators to be aware of the situation. In addition to serve as a prevention method, following up on an act of academic dishonesty sends a confirming message to students that cheating will not be tolerated. Consequences to cheating exist and consequences will be enforced. Consequences of cheating should appear on the course syllabus. Other than that, faculty should penalize dishonest students, indicating that failure to do such could be viewed as violating the faculty policies and lower down faculty's reputation. That is all for academic dishonesty attack. I hope you gain some idea to avoid academic dishonesty as a future educator. However, as we all know, planning on prevent something is very easy, but to actually apply it, I bet it's hard. Let's now proceed to listen on what Ain wants to say regarding the issues of AD.
Now, we will talk about the issues regarding academic dishonesty. The first one that we'd like to discuss is how administrators downplay this problem in general. And the second one is the efficiency of UITM's pledge. The main reason why a lot of universities around the world swept this problem under the rug is that they don't want to make a big headline out of it and tarnish the university reputation. So, care must be taken to handle these issues, like following the procedure that has been set by the university properly. And professional skepticism is required to identify the red flags, investigate, interview alleged offenders, and make the determination that academic dishonesty was actually breached. Maybe the educators themselves think that when a student is caught, it might ruin the student's life. This thought is based on the societies that we live in that puts too much value on students' grade. I think most of us understand that there are different types of intelligences, but society as a whole still values only a few of those types and would only acknowledge the grades. So that would put a lot of stress on students. So prevention is really important, and we have to minimize the opportunity for students to commit academic dishonesty. It's good that our university took the initiative to try to be more clear about what constitutes as academic dishonesty during the ODL and came up with the pledge to set a foundation for academic integrity. But it should be followed by reminders and enforcement, so it sends the message to the students that this issue is taken seriously.
The next issue is about the efficiency of the UITM's pledge. But before we see from UITM's perspective, let's first see this chart on the slides that were obtained from a research conducted by Shu, Gino, and Bazman regarding cheating on a problem-solving task by condition, where the students are divided into 3 groups, which one group are not provided with on a code, one group are given to read on a code, and the other group of students were asked to sign on a code. You guys can see clearly that there are difference between the amount of students cheating, right? With the presence of on a code. Now get back to the main subtopic. I am actually not sure of UITM students' cheating statistics, whether it decreased or increased after they asked us to sign the pledge for every subject. But I believe that there must be a declining number of academic dishonesty as students are warned earlier not to cheat in their assignments or in their exam. Also, we can imply from other research, for example, the data from this research, that students who knew the consequences and penalty of committing academic dishonesty can deter academic cheating. And that is all for issues regarding academic dishonesty. Ameylina, what is the local and global view of the act of academic dishonesty? Do they actually taking this issue seriously?
Thank you, AFIFAH. All right. Ain and AFIFAH talk about the issues surrounding academic dishonesty. But then, what about other countries? How do they view academic dishonesty? Do they take it lightly or seriously? Let's see some. Firstly, we'll look at how Iran perceives academic dishonesty in the perspective of the students. This study investigated Iranian language students' perception of and familiarity with plagiarism, their attitudes toward their professors regarding this issue, and their reasons for doing so. The participants were 122 undergraduate and graduate language students in translation, literature, TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, and linguistics, who filled out a validated and piloted questionnaire. Overall, the results indicated that students had different views about the definitions of plagiarism, and plagiarism was mostly perceived by students as using someone else's words as if they were their own, rather than taking someone's ideas without permissions. It's just copy and paste, right? What's the big deal? Yes. Academic dishonesty is like that. It seems insignificant, but it is actually a serious matter that if we let it fester in us, it can negatively affect us and others too, as what is shared by AFIFAH. We are slowly corrupting ourselves. Back to the study. It was also found that in their academic career, students mostly consider copying a completed assignment of their friend as an act of academic dishonesty. In addition, they mostly argued that professors at universities guessed about who might have done plagiarism instead of checking it themselves, and they use different strategies to detect plagiarism. The roles of administrators, and I'm sure Ain talked about this as one of the issues in academic dishonesty, whereby some administrators take AD lightly, as what these students are saying. Professors guessing who plagiarized instead of checking it themselves. Besides that, the study also indicated that Iranian students had different reasons for plagiarism, but they mostly plagiarized because of the ease of plagiarism. Note that this research was done in 2013, so maybe, just maybe, academic dishonesty is not as trending as it is now, which is why they find it easy to do so. But we have so many apps and so many websites to detect AD now, such as Turnitin, which our lecturers always use. Finally, the results of the survey showed that the majority learned about plagiarism from their university professor. So I guess these students are oblivious of academic dishonesty in the first place. You can share your first encounter with AD later on during the activity, okay? Next, we have the perspectives of Chinese students with regard to academic dishonesty. In the first study shown, it examined AD of 586 Taiwanese graduate students, the relationship between students' academic dishonesty and their perceptions of the academic dishonesty of their peers, and their judgments regarding the seriousness of academic dishonesty. Ain talked about whether gender influences the AD of students, and in this study, results showed that female students who were more critical of AD rather than male students in the areas of fraudulence, plagiarism, and falsifications, to be specific. This means that female students consider a lot of aspects before resorting to academic dishonesty. However, from this study, male students demonstrated more awareness of peer involvement in academic dishonesty than female students. It means that male students are aware of their friends involved in AD, as opposed to female students, as they probably didn't realize that their friends are academically dishonest. Besides that, through this study, it is known that master's students confess to greater involvement in academic dishonesty compared to PhD students. And this is because PhD students were more disapproving of unethical acts as compared to master's students. Another study by Su Chiang and others investigated students' perceptions of their own and their peers' academic dishonesty, the reasons for this dishonesty, their achievement goals, and their willingness to report AD within a Chinese cultural context. Through this, students have knowledge of their peers being involved in academic dishonesty, but they don't have the willingness to report, not because of gender or academic major, but because of their friendship bond. However, they will report their classmates instead due to weaker bonds or relationships, meaning that Chinese students are keeping it loyal to their friends, right? In terms of motivation to indulge in academic dishonesty, female students said that the lack of penalties drive them to commit AD, while male students commit it due to their lack of attention to schoolwork. Despite the drives from others, in my opinion, it all starts from within. How ethical are you to begin with? How ethical am I to begin with? The other factors are just inciting us to be unethical, like temptations. But of course, we have to rationalize with our conditions and situations. But then, academic dishonesty is still unethical and deserves some sort of penalties or punishment. Now that we're talking about penalties and punishments, I'm intrigued by how a university handles AD. Let's talk about that. Alright, Villanova University is a private Catholic co-ed research higher education institute that is located in Villanova, Pennsylvania, US. The university has a website and it provided a web page about academic integrity violations. It is based on the frequently asked questions by the students. I guess they're so busy answering the questions, so they prepared this website instead. Anyway, I came across this, and as I read it through, I like the fact that they consider student situations or conditions which lead them to academic dishonesty. So they have class 1 and class 2 of violations, two categories. Class 1 means that you are in big trouble and can be expelled from the university if your appeal is rejected. They also have appeal, obviously. However, you can appeal to be changed from class 1 to class 2 violation, provided that you give enough evidence that you did the violation due to mitigating factors, like you are influenced by your situations or your surroundings or someone else. Then you will only get warnings and your case is considered minor. But then you will have to take an educational program to ensure you will not repeat the same mistakes. So, I love the explicit details on the webpage on what students should do and the fact that they considered students' perspectives and what drives them to academic dishonesty. You know how people always give services, cheating services out there, like, I can do your assignment, you just have to pay me blah 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 blah. So, in the US, I've read that if they catch students using these services to complete their assignments, they will not reprimand the students heavily. Instead, they will try to search for the providers of the services. And they aim to diminish them all. Yes, it is hard because there's a lot of services like this out there. But I do believe you have to start somewhere. And I do believe that students wouldn't be so driven to get services like that unless the providers are everywhere and they make it seem easy and not wrong. Besides that, I believe that Malaysia also takes academic dishonesty seriously. So let's take a look at local views now that we're done with global views. Alright, local view. So this study is done by Nurshiha and Nurliana, and Nurshiha is from the Faculty of Education UITM Shah Alam back in 2012 when we hadn't moved to Puncak Alam. This study addresses the growing concern in academia regarding the diminishing sense of academic integrity and ethical values among students. It attempts to broaden the understanding of the topic in two ways. Firstly, by focusing on a specific category of students, mainly TESOL teacher trainees, and secondly, by investigating the incidents and motive for cheating in examinations among teacher trainees. The rationale for highlighting this particular group comes from the higher expectations for ethical behavior from teacher trainees, who are expected to respond ethically and prevent academic dishonesty in their capacity as professional practitioners. An online survey was conducted among 71 students enrolled in a 4-year teacher education program in a university in Malaysia, and the results showed that a majority of respondents, 82%, had cheated before, and did so despite knowing the consequences. The most quoted reason for cheating was lack of preparations and the pressure to excel, as well as instructional situations that are perceived as excessively demanding. Although this is the environment that we live in, stressful environments as we are expected to excel no matter what, it doesn't justify the act of academic dishonesty, in my opinion. I believe that the lack of self-discipline contributes to the rise of unethical behaviors. Therefore, we need to be hard on ourselves with regard to academic integrity. We cannot ignore the pressure felt, but we can definitely do something about it and not resort to academic dishonesty. This is another study in which one of the researchers is from the Academy of Language Studies, UITM KHADIJAH, and was done this year. It focuses on the Book of Academic Rules, Buku Peraturan Akademik, where they asked the UITM KHADIJAH students, 536 students from 5 faculties, whether they are aware of the existence of this book. The results showed that 75% of the students were aware of the book, but only 59.1% of the students read the book. In terms of understanding, the majority of the students understand the content of the book, yet academic dishonesty still happen around us. Besides that, most of the students take the matter of copying assignments as a very serious matter and shouldn't be overlooked. You see, we have all the awareness we need, yet we still do the things we shouldn't. Temptations to make life easier, right? Like I've mentioned before, let's look at our self-discipline. Are we ethical enough? Am I ethical enough? These kinds of questions for us to ponder, to get that awareness back and take action to improve ourselves, to rely on our potential instead of other materials or people. It's ODL now, online distance learning, and academic dishonesty is trending now. We even have the pledge, right? How effective do you think the pledge is? Is it effective enough to evoke the conscience in you? In me? These kinds of questions to bring us back to the right path. Ponder on that. So this study focuses on whether academic dishonesty is a cause for concern. Yes, we have to be concerned about academic dishonesty. Moreover, right now teaching and learning is shifting to virtual. Alright, we've shared about academic dishonesty as much as we can. In my opinion, it all boils down to you yourself. How aware are you of making sure you have high academic integrity? I'm sure you filled in the UITM's academic integrity pledge for each course, so it all depends on how you bring yourself in honoring the pledge you filled. Do you honor your pledge? Am I honoring my pledge? That's the big questions we should ask ourselves. And note that academic dishonesty does not happen naturally. Same goes to academic integrity. It does not heighten on its own. We have to work for both, avoiding and improving, respectively. Yes, we can change ourselves. We can involve in AD and then we change in the future. But remember that all habits die hard. I've read cases where lecturers give extra marks in return of sexual favor, sexual harassment. So, a senior lecturer at the private University of Kigali, Rwanda, Africa, was dismissed in mid-July this year over alleged sexual harassment linked to students' marks. The irony is that Rwanda is one of the safest countries to visit in Africa, but then students are not safe from these predators who stems from academic dishonesty. And this is only one example of malpractice or academic dishonesty by working people in a university. Imagine our children experiencing this. Imagine you yourself experiencing this. It has to start somewhere. So let's start with you. Let's start with ourselves. Before we end our presentations, we've provided a list of references that we referred to while working on this topic, and you can check them out later. So I guess that is all from us. We apologize for any inconvenience. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day ahead. Assalamualaikum.